Good morning. Have a little win to share this morning. Got my second True Age, what's it called? True Diagnostics, True Age Complete test results back yesterday, and one of the big results is the pace of aging and like your speed at which you are aging. And the last time I got it was about a year ago, year and a little bit, and it was 0.77, which is I'm actually have been very pleased by. And the result I got yesterday was 0.738, so 0.74, which I'm very happy with. And a lot of they calculate all these like ages for different parts of your body based on DNA and blood markers and whatever else. I have to go read through all the reports and stuff. But a lot of my like ages that I took last year, like some of them were 3 years higher than my like biological age, and the results that I got back yesterday were that I had like numerically dropped many of those ages. So I had aged chronologically 1 year, but like biologically reduced my actual ages, if that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but anyway, good results, very happy. And it is nice and reassuring to see some data and validation behind the health and lifestyle decisions that I make, and to actually see those show up in the actual data, to see that I'm, on the right path is nice. It's good. So anyway, I wanted to share kind of a summary of my story as quickly as I could, of like how I got here, basically, because I wouldn't say I've always been like this. In 2020, walking down the streets. I can't remember what started it. I did read this book called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker or something like that. And anyway, at some point I remember trying to like optimize my sleep, and I had started with basically two ideas. One was, there's this idea that you should wake up every, I think it was 90 minutes, like we sleep in 90-minute cycles, and so you want to wake up within that like 90-minute block, rather than mid deep sleep or mid dreaming. And so just did the calculation. I was like, all right, I can either sleep for 7.5 hours, 9 hours, or 10.5 hours. And so I tried going to bed and setting my alarm for 7.5 hours for like a couple of nights. I did it for 9 hours, and I did it for 10.5 hours. And I found that 9 hours, I felt the best consistently. And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna stick with it. And fast forward to 2.5 years, I got my Whoop, and started actually tracking my sleep, and it was telling me that I was about 30 minutes, depending on the day, depending on the day, like that was my optimal sleep. And I was like, oh wow, nice. So since then, I have, since getting my Whoop band, I have honestly been a lot more intentional about my health and particularly my sleep, because I just feel so much better when I get enough sleep. And what's the next? Diet. I've always eaten generally well, but back in 2020, 2021, I started to make this correlation between what I ate and how I felt after. And I remember eating these big lunches, or like rice and breaded chicken and like broccoli for lunch, and I would just feel so bad after. Bad as in like I just want to sleep, like carb crash, food coma, that kind of thing. And I was like, well, I want to be productive and like working towards my goals, and I just don't feel like doing anything. And so I started to like do a little bit of research, and I made the very coarse, I would say, assumption that meat equals bad. And so I started to lean more towards vegan, vegetarian, but I still ate meat, but I started to use it more wisely. So like I would understand that when I ate meat, or like made a burger, or made one of these like rice and breaded chicken dishes that like I wouldn't expect to do work after. And then that brought me to last summer when I was out in Europe and backpacking and just eating not well. It's very hard to eat well while traveling. And I made it to Thailand, and it was like after a week, I was eating all the street food and the pad thai for 60 cents, and I noticed like my hair was thinning, and I was like, this is not good. And so my hypothesis was that it was a mix of stress from all the traveling and not eating well. And so I made a pivot and flew to Bali, and that was when I like really dialed in my diet. And within a number of weeks, it noticeably improved. And basically since then, I've just been like dialed in on my diet. And exercise, I had struggled with exercise back in 2020. I mean, I went to the gym in college and ran every once in a while, but not consistently. And when I moved actually when I was in San Francisco, I did run and bike a little bit. But when I moved to Denver, I was trying to like start strength training, and I just remember having no motivation to do anything. And all I could get myself to do was, first thing in the morning, I was just like, I watched so much YouTube videos about everything, and all I could get myself to do was drive to the gym, and in the morning use the elliptical while I watched YouTube videos for 20 minutes, and that was literally it. I would stop, and then I would go to the coffee shop next door and like do some journaling and then work there for the morning. But yeah, that's like where I started. And from there, I slowly built up, and I got more intentional about it as I went started traveling in the van because the gym was my shower. And so I kept having to go back basically, and I was like, well, I'm here, so why don't I get a workout in? And it's kind of, snowballed from there. The only other thing I'll say is I started intermittent fasting in 2021, I think, and I have liked that in terms of convenience and focus out of many of the things that I've tried. And I've basically, what that means in reality is I just never eat breakfast. Anything I eat in the morning is just like straight black coffee. And so my first meal is at noon to 1-ish, and then I eat dinner at whenever, like 6 or 7, 8. In Spain it's at 8:30 and 9. So anyway, yeah, I've liked that a lot. I just feel like laser focused in the morning when I'm fasted, and if I do like a workout or go skiing or something in the morning, then I'll eat something, but for like many of my days. So that's pretty much it. Prioritizing my sleep, valuing my sleep. I consistently rank in the top 10%, sometimes even top 1% of this big Whoop community in terms of my sleep scores. It's been more rocky this month in August, but when I'm really dialed in, yeah. And diet, eating clean, eating well balanced. I do eat meat. I generally just eat chicken occasionally. It's easy, high protein. But other than that, lean more towards vegetarian. Try to eat well balanced diet, and then exercise. Maybe nowadays I exercise, strength train maybe 2 to 3 times per week on average. Sometimes 4, but if I'm calculating an average, probably 2 to 3. And then, some amount of 1 to 2 runs aerobic per week. And then try to walk a lot. In Europe, that's easy. In the US, that's not easy. And I do intermittent fasting. And that's my story. See you tomorrow.